would you define the music of Soundmind?
Musical stew, a gumbo of sorts.
Pretty wacky, progressive kind of edge to it.
Shit, I don't know how I want to answer that one. Fuck it.
He really hit magic.
I think you have to sort of take in epochs. There are different millennia in Soundmind.
100 billion degrees, I should be melting for sure.
The history of Soundmind actually started from Corporate Sweat, which spawned from Corpus Sweat, which was a little project that we did with Spencer, Jesse, David Auslender, and myself back in high school.
We all started picking up instruments in around 9th, 10th grade, and I picked up the keyboard, Rob Richmond picked up the bass, and Tyrone picked up the guitar.
We played a gig at Fairfax High School while we were at Corpus Sweat, and Sean Franks was there. We met him through a friend, Ronnie Jaffe. It started out and there was no vocals. We figured, hey, we got to get vocals. Somewhere along the line, there's got to be a voice that's being heard. We can't just be instrumental.
And then we had a very great friend of ours who passed away, Phil Flinton, was on vocals.
How did Corporate Sweat evolve into Soundmind?
Well, we kind of had a falling out with Philip Linton. It just didn't really work. He sort of had more interest in acting, I would say, as opposed to music. So we decided to move on and have Sean be our singer. Ty played guitar, Jesse played keys, I played bass, and Monty played drums.
Well, I grew up with Rob and Jesse and Ty, and Sean was the only one that I really didn't know at the time. We went through a lot of different changes. The first one was with Sean, the singer. We were having some problems as far as how serious he was taking it.
And then we started auditioning singers, and eventually we found Jason Richmond.
I had heard a tape of Soundmind and I was just blown away. I thought it was great. So I went to try out, and it was between me and another guy, and I guess I got it, and it was great.
We all agreed that it would be the right thing, and he was a brilliant lyricist and a great guy and a great singer. We figured, hey, this is it, you know, let's go.
Is it real? Don't wanna close my eyes. Don't wanna make that touch. Don't wanna give her any.
Tyrone left shortly after Jason joined the band. He left because he didn't like the singer after all.
I guess he thought I sounded a little bit too much like Elvis Costello, which I'm sure I did.
Who knows why Ty left? We're still figuring that one out.
Wanna give her any party.
Then had to look for another guitarist.
We auditioned several other guitar players, went through the whole hell of doing it at the shithole.
It was a horrific experience.
And eventually we found Chris Rowe.
And it worked out. He was great. He came in with his Beano chips and Mesa Boogie and a picture of Frank Zappa, and we figured this guy's it.
Well, we came on holiday originally.
To Los Angeles.
To LA, yeah. And then I wanted to get out of here, you know, get out of England, that is. Because there was absolutely no music scene going on at all where I was, so it was either go to London or come here, you know.
Chris was a little intimidated, but he just got out there and he played what he thought sounded good.
How did you meet up with Soundmind?
It was out in the Music Connection, actually. I just read it, you know. And it was, I think they had King Crimson or something, or Gabriel, I think it was. Peter Gabriel, that is.
What you want? Lay it down, yeah, in my body. Say all my defenses are good.
You did some recording?
Our first gig we recorded was immediately picked up by the manager of Stevie Nicks.
I'm Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac fame. And we had the...
Sure that you're faking it, she said. No, don't let it go straight to your head. She said.
Actually, Stevie Nicks' personal manager got a tape from the board, and within a week, we were up at her house recording.
After the initial recordings worked out, they didn't work out. We laid it down and it didn't happen, and we felt very pressured to you know, write the next great hit.
Let's start things out with Sound Mind. This is the second time they've been on the program. Let me double check that. Well, third time they've been on the program. And boy, this is one of the neat things about the show, is seeing a band get better and better and better. Been together about 4 years now out of Hollywood. It's a 5-piece operation. Sound Mind is their name, a local expert. Okay,
Gotta get me to the live wire. Gotta get me to the live wire. Gotta get me to the live wire. Yeah. Yes, son, yes, I do believe. Gotta get me to the live wire.
How many gigs do you think you guys have played?
Upwards of 100, but I'm not sure.
50, 60.
Over 100.
We played all over the place.
Coconut Teaser.
Central,
Molly Malone's,
Club Lingerie,
Candelado.
played little Irish bars. We played
Troubadour.
China Club. We played at Trenka's. We played at parties.
Thai Ice, you played there.
We've just played anywhere you can play.
Musically, what would you say were the band's influences?
The band's influences? Well, I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna say Steely Dan.
Steely Dan.
Steely Dan.
Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Even though we sounded nothing like them.
But always from the start, guys like Paul Simon.
Miles Davis.
Peter Gabriel.
James Brown and Tower Power.
Stevie Wonder.
Fishbone, if they ever fucking come out with a new record.
And at one point we went to New York and stayed there for 2 weeks doing a demo, which was a great time.
That happened through our management. Barry Rosenthal had a friend who's a producer.
He liked us a lot and he was like, you know, I'd like to, you know, record with you.
And they flew us out there to record at Alessandro's studio, and also the studio where Rapper's Delight was recorded.
We had a great time, you know. Me and Rob and Chris would take off to the Village. I think Monty guarded the room the entire time. He was just like experiencing New York in the hotel. And Jesse would leave and no one knew where he was going. He could have been robbing liquor stores for all we knew. He would take off at like 5 in the morning and say he was going to practice piano, but like who could believe that?
Demo didn't turn out as good as everyone hoped for. It was a bit overproduced.
Laid down some really good initial tracks.
And then we went to this mix studio in the city, and it became overdub hell.
By the end of it, there were horns that we never authorized on it, and all this layers of stuff that didn't sound anything like us.
I think we had a lot of fun, but we didn't accomplish what we went there to accomplish, which happens a lot, I suppose.
Our keyboard player left for personal reasons.
Jesse went like loopy.
Jesse Hunter wanted to become a Buddhist monk.
My career change was going from Sound Mind to Empty Mind. I think we all kind of expected it, but didn't. You know.
I was happy for him because I thought he was kind of, you know, getting depressed, and you know, I think he found something that he really loves to do, and that's great.
I think it's a really good decision, even if he comes back to music someday, which I know he will.
I ain't seen that style since Jesse went zen.
Jesse not being in the band, I felt a little bit more pressure on me musically.
The other guys in the band really wanted to get a keyboard player, but I thought that we could really do it, you know, just the four of us, and that's what we ended up doing.
And how she broke, yeah, laughing at the killing joke. Oh, yeah.
You guys also did a music video.
Well, the music video was something through a friend of the band, Joseph Kornbrodt.
And scripted out a script for Killing Joke. And put together a budget with Jacobus, Marcus. proceeded to shoot it in 2 days at a friend at Jacobus's house, and did it for, like, you know, I mean, an infinitesimal budget.
And it came out great, amazing, and that was the big push for the second half of the band. You know, without Jesse, we were really going to push that, and you know, get signed through that.
As they rise from the seats to greet her, all sewn up, she never looked much better.
Once the video was shot, what happened?
The band broke up.
Now who's asking the question?
It finally came to an end because of disagreements as far as copyright.
At the time, Jason and Chris both felt that they were doing a majority of the writing, and Monty and I felt that that wasn't necessarily the case, that everybody shared certain responsibilities.
And I guess Monty and Rob were just, they wanted to keep the band together, but we all just weren't seeing eye to eye, really.
It got harder, I think, as we aged, to let go of the tunes that we came in with.
We became apathetic after so many years of struggling and banging our heads against the wall.
And when it stops becoming about just getting out there and, you know, putting together a good show, then you stop working. And you start working to get signed. I think that's a real dangerous thing. What do you miss about the band?
Playing.
I mean, I still play with them, you know, with Monty and Rob, so that's cool, you know.
Playing live. Because when you see how your music affects people, it's incredible.
You know, I miss just hanging out with everybody, and you know, I don't really have, outside of the band, those were all people that I really didn't have those type of people in my life, those kind of personalities.
You know, so I don't miss it. I use it, and I keep it.
Reflections in the mirror as blow the dust.
Well, the funniest story I have about the band is when we got all this money and this interest to go into A&M Studios, and we're in there, and it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. We've got the early shift, and Herb Albert owns the studio, and Jesse's, you know, he's got all of his paintings and stuff on the wall, and Jesse's just in there kind of staring at the paintings, and behind Jesse walks up Herb Albert, and he says, what do you think about these paintings? Jesse goes, well, I wouldn't buy a used car from the guy that painted this stuff. That's the best story I can think of.
I didn't know that.
It was, you know, it wasn't even 10 o'clock in the morning, and Jesse insulted the owner of a major studio. But that didn't affect our chances, no.
Jesse convinces us to play this rally. You know, the Gulf War rally is sort of, I don't know what they were trying to revisit, but, you know, we're not talking like Woodstock, or we're not talking, you know, the great Vietnam anti-war protests here. We're talking, you know, hey, rally, let's go. You know, we'll grab a burger and go to a rally. So we get there, and we get up on stage, and this chant breaks out, no blood for oil, no blood for oil. So we're playing, oh, this is great, no blood for oil, you know, they're really with us now. So we strike up, we're playing this song called Third World America, which is like, this is the exact audience for a song like this. We're playing, and you know, it's like we're getting louder, everybody's into it, the audience is grooving, and all of a sudden, like, the power cuts off. And all we hear is, no blood for oil, no blood. And I look back, and I'm like, I see the techie, and he's over, like, knocking on the generator. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he says, well, we're all out of gas. So it's like no blood for oil, and they, of course, run out of gas, and that's sort of the soundline experience.
Take me to my home.